Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And today's episode is a little bit of business, but a lot of mindset. Some of my favorite episodes, as you know, if you're a longtime listener or subscriber, but we're going to talk about rewiring your subconscious mind for success. And I have a very special guest. Actually, I don't know, maybe Lucie, you can help me. I was going to say a second time guest, almost like maybe 1.5 time guest, but we'll sort that out in a minute. Lucie Ptasznik, welcome to the show and thank you for being here.
It's so exciting, grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
So your husband, right? Jason?
Significant other, you could say.
Significant other, okay. Your significant other, Jason Roberts, was, I think the episode aired at this point 4 or 5 months ago, if that counts as a 1.5 times guest. How should we classify this?
Well, it's our first time together,
Yes.
but we do share a lot of the same beliefs, and we work very closely together. So he has more of a business background where he's built several multi-million-dollar businesses. He's got students from the East Coast to the West Coast, and he's teaching them all how to grow their business, how to scale it. Where I come from a little bit of a different angle, I'm more on the spiritual side of things. That is my background. I believe that the key to success is faith. You have to believe in yourself. You have to just trust the process and have faith in a higher power, whatever you want to call that, whatever that means to you, but just knowing that God's got your back and that he walks with you, he supports you, he cheers you on. And when you have that faith, when you have that unwavering belief in yourself, that's what is going to take you from where you're at to where you want to be. You can have a vision and absolute clarity on what you want, but if you don't believe in yourself or you don't believe that you're worthy, then there's always going to be that vibrational discrepancy.
I already love this episode. Enough about that guy, that other Jason guy. He sounds so boring at this point. For quick reference, for those of you who may have not heard the episode, I did just look it up. It's episode 200. It aired on August 28th, 2024. So if you want to go check it out, you can kind of hear the side by side, the business lens, the spiritual lens, but I'm super excited to dive into this conversation right now with you, Lucie. So rewiring your subconscious mind for success. Everything you just said was amazing, but I'm also curious, where do you find most people when you first start working with them? Because I'm sure there's some consistencies about where they currently are with their subconscious and their language.
Honestly, a lot of it's just a word of mouth. People knowing each other and inviting them in. We have a group coaching program. And every single week we're talking about different ways, different strategies, and like where people are at and what they're struggling with. And a lot of it at the end of the day really comes down to mindset. Whether it is a relationship struggle, something that they're struggling with their relationship, or whether it's finances. We work with a lot of different investors, and sometimes it's, they have all of these deals, but they are trying to find the investors and find the money. And it's kind of like, well, you just have to believe. It sounds, again, some of the stuff that I teach and preach might sound a little bit hokey pokey or a little woo woo or a little bit out there. But at the end of the day, like, you are the powerful, magnificent creator of your own reality. And if you can learn to incorporate imagination into every single day of your life, there's different tools, techniques that you can use, like journaling, for example, like writing out your gratitudes and setting your intentions and saying, and just writing it out and being like, I'm going to find 3 different investors that have extraordinarily deep pockets. They have, they're ready to invest $100,000 into the flips that I find, as well as the different apartment buildings that we're going to partner in together with. And then not only am I going to find three, you can say like, I'm going to find 3 different investors this week, but those investors are going to be connected to a whole network of other investors that have bottomless funds that are going to be excited and ready for the incredible opportunity that I have, that I'm able to put their money to work. And instead of just sitting in a low interest bank account, like I can easily get them 10, 12, 14% and put their money to work for them. And I think a lot of it is just using your imagination and getting really creative. And when I talk about intention setting, for example, it's kind of like putting your order in with the universe. Like instead of thinking what could go wrong, think about what could go right. Like use your imagination in wild, exciting, vivid ways to be like, okay, like what could go right? Like what would like if I was in the perfect relationship, like what would that look like? What would that feel like? How would I wake up in the morning? How would I interact with that person? What are the fun things? Like what would our date nights be like? And whether if you're single, start writing that out. That's actually funny story. That's exactly how I manifested Jason. Every single day I was writing out affirmations saying how like I am so grateful I manifested the perfect vibrational match. I'm so grateful that he loves horseback riding and my German Shepherd Sage. I'm so grateful that life is one vacation after the next. And like I'm so grateful that he's a master chef and loves giving me massages. So I just use my imagination before I had even met him. And then it wasn't 2 weeks before he sent me a message out of the blue. So my point or my message that I want to convey to everybody is that we don't have to settle in any area of our lives, whether it's finances, whether it's relationship, whether it's just health or confidence, whatever it is. We don't have to settle. And if you feel like you're meant for more, there's room for improvement, or there's growth ahead, the best thing that you can do is stop doing what you've always done and step outside of your comfort zone, because outside of the comfort zone is where we're going to grow and we're going to push ourselves past what we think is what we're capable of. And that's when the magic starts and the excitement really unfolds.
I love that. And the more you describe Jason, we just have to put this out there. He is off the market, ladies, because he sounds fantastic. All of those things that you manifested there. It's um, but I love that. And you set your intentions on it before. You didn't have to see it to believe it. You believed it and then saw it. Which
Exactly.
is always really cool, which prompts the question of what's holding us back? Like what are we doing right now? What am I doing today? What are you doing today in some area of your life that is actively holding you back from some version of a reality that you think you want, but you are sabotaging yourself?
That's a perfect question. So what's holding us back? What's stopping us? We are the reason why we aren't where we want to be. Like the only thing that's holding us back is us. And once we take radical responsibility, because again, reality is subjective, it's malleable, it's whatever it is that we want to create, however we want to experience it. But we just have to stop living in the victim mode. We have to stop blaming others. And we have to really like awareness, the power of awareness is so important in this quantum reality that we live in. Because if we continue to blame others or outside circumstances for the life that we're living, we're never going to be able to take back control of our lives. We all have these unconscious programs that are running our life. We have these unconscious patterns of focus, patterns of language, and patterns of oh my gosh, I want to say philosophy, but physiology. And we have patterns of physiology, how we're moving our body. And these patterns are so deeply ingrained within us that we don't even like, it's kind of just who we are at this point. By the time you're 30 years old, like 95% of your personality is already like put in place. So not only does it take a lot of just awareness and being like, wow, so and really becoming keenly aware of the thoughts that you're thinking, the words that you're using, and the emotions that you're residing in, how you're responding to outside circumstances. Because all of those things, again, are patterns. If we're used to thinking negative thoughts, that's what's known, that's what's familiar, and the brain is always going to move towards what's most familiar. That's why it's so important when we talk about reprogramming your subconscious mind. That's what's going to allow you to pattern interrupt and break those patterns of thought, patterns of language, and patterns of physiology. If you never go to the gym, well, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Like, the quickest way to raise your vibration, feel better, is going to start with your physiology and like movement. So that's like a quick fix hack for sure. So the first step is awareness and being aware of the thoughts, the language, and the emotions, and then replacing that with different thoughts, different affirmations, and different beliefs that will serve you. Because again, we are what's stopping us. The only limits we experience are the limits that we hold on to, that we fight for. So many people, when you're like, oh, well, why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that? Oh, no, I can't. Well, why can't you? Well, because of this and because of that. People fight for their limitations all day long. And when you fight for your limitations, then you get to keep them. So it's all about recognizing the limiting beliefs that you're holding so tightly onto, and then really like questioning yourself, which is really hard because you've been who you are for so long, and the thought patterns and the belief systems that you currently hold have served you really well. That's made you who you are today. However, if you want to step into the next level of success, you're going to have to do a deep dive and start challenging the beliefs that you hold, and start dreaming bigger and asking, well, why am I limiting myself? Why am I settling here? How can I show up better? What habits am I partaking in every single day that I can choose to use to my benefit?
I'm curious. I don't actually believe that you can effectively do this by yourself. Um, and I only say that because I always have other people in my life who point out my blind spots, and that's
Yeah.
why they're blind spots. But I lean on those people, and I trust those people, whether it's a coach, a mentor, a business partner, whatever it is. I'm
Yeah.
curious for you, have you found an effective way for people to do this on their own, or do you always need that other person, at least in the beginning? Because now I can do things. I recognize, okay, if I go to um, if I go to like open an email or something and I have a reaction to it, why did I react? I can now step back. But prior to the awareness of that, it's a subconscious program, as you said. So how do we go down that path effectively in the beginning? Do we have to rely on someone else, or have you found a better way?
I don't think so. I don't think that you have to. One of the biggest things that changed my life was the day that I started meditating. And I know a lot of people hear the word meditation and they're like, "Oh no, that's for like the monks in the mountains with the orange robes, and that's just not my thing. I tried it. My mind's too busy. I can't shut it off. Like, it's just not for me." And I'm like, "No, trust me, it is for you. That means it's for all of us. The definition of meditation means to become familiar with oneself." And so the beauty of meditation is that when you close your eyes and you focus in on your breath, and you gift yourself 10, 15 minutes every single morning, it's a practice. And practice makes perfect. So it's not going to be perfect the first time you do it, but it's a practice of awareness and becoming familiar with the thoughts that you're thinking and the emotions that you're accustomed to living in. And the reason why I share this with you is because when you're talking about, sometimes it's helpful to have other people to like call you on your unconscious programs or bad habits or patterns. However, when you begin to meditate, this is like the process of meditation is usually like, first of all, I'll say that it's not one size fits all with meditation. I like to tell people that it's kind of like a smorgasbord with all sorts of different meditations. There's guided meditations, there's gratitude meditations, there's positive affirmation meditations, there's breath work meditations, there's music meditations, there's silent meditations, there's all mantra meditate, all sorts of different kinds of meditations. So I like to encourage people to try a bunch of different kinds of meditations, and that way they can figure out what suits them the best, what flavor they enjoy the most. And then once you try that and then see like, oh, okay, this is how my day unfolded, or this is because what meditation does is it quiets your mind. And when you quiet your mind, your vibration will immediately begin to rise. The reason behind that is because we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And on average, 90% of those thoughts are all negative. So if we can just stop thinking, at least for a very small section of the day, then it's like we can silence that inner critic and we can stop worrying and stop focusing on the negative, because that's what we tend to do a lot just by our nature. And so the practice of meditation is like you close your eyes, you focus in on your breath, and then it's going to be 10 or 15 seconds and a thought is going to flow in. And when that thought flows in, it's the recognition of that thought. And then you're like, oh, I'm thinking a thought. What do? Lovingly release it and then come back to your breath. 10, 15 more seconds, maybe 3 seconds go by, however long it is, another thought's going to pop into your head, and that's okay. And the whole trick is, instead of falling down the rabbit hole of like, oh, I got to pick my daughter up from school. Oh, and then I got to stop at the grocery store. Oh, wait, what am I making for dinner? Oh, and I still got to call for the dentist. And then there's a doctor. And wait, oh, and then you'd be like, oh, wait, I'm thinking again. So again, it's that realization of, oh, I'm thinking, oh, I'm having these thoughts. That is the power of meditation, because it allows you to become familiar with the thoughts that you're thinking. And then all of a sudden, you realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts, and that you can pick and choose what it is that you want to focus on, pick and choose what you want to think about and how you want to feel, because what you focus on is what is going to dictate how you feel. If you focus on something good and exciting and fulfilling and peaceful, you're going to feel good. If you think about something that's like weighing you down, it's going to bring you down. So we have freedom of focus in any given moment. And the reason why I share all of that, kind of to wrap it back to your question, is because I remember shortly after I started meditating, I was in an argument with somebody, and the next thing you know, like, we're yelling at each other, and I'm like full out yelling at each other. And all of a sudden I like stopped and I was like, oh my God, like, this doesn't feel good. Like, this isn't how I want to show up. This isn't the person that I want to be. This isn't how I want to interact. And then in that moment, I was able to like stop and then take back my power. And I'm like, instead of saying like, oh, like, you're causing me to yell, like, I was like, this isn't who I want to be or how I want to show up. And so from that moment moving forward, I'm like, I'm only going to speak to you with kindness. And it was just like, in that moment, I realized that I was operating out of alignment. I realized that I was falling into an unconscious pattern of yelling and arguing and fighting. And because I had just started meditating, that awareness of self is what really allowed me to like step back and take my power back. And when you do that, so that's why this is applicable and practical. So like, when you're moving through your day and let's say you're driving in traffic and someone cuts you off, instead of being upset and giving them the bird and getting like all bent out of shape, you're able to just like, oh wait, that's not how I want to show up. I'm just gonna, bless that person and say like, I hope they're okay. I hope they make it to wherever they need to get on time. I'm safe. I'm okay. All is well. So that is the beauty of meditation, is that it grants us self-awareness. We can't change what we're unaware of. So awareness is always the first step in becoming the best version of yourself.
I love it. That's so fantastic. And I love the progression that you described of how it actually helped you come to be more present and in the moment. I think that's fantastic. So we only scratched the surface. There's a million more things to explore, and we did not do this topic justice, but I'm sure you can help the listeners out. Where should somebody go if they want to learn more, take the next step, and help them rewire their subconscious mind?
Yeah. So we have it's called www.com/ultimatesuccessblueprint.com is the website. And we actually have we do a 16-week program that helps people rewire their subconscious mind and begin to take massive action towards their goals, towards their dreams. And it's all about really, there's a lot of identity work, becoming the person that you want to be now. And what we've done is we've taken those 16 weeks and we've compacted it into a 2-hour training that's broken up into a digestible 6-part series. Normally it sells on our website for $1,000. However, we have a promo code for you and your listeners. So if you go to ultimatesuccessblueprint.com and the promo code is lunch for this podcast, Harmonious at Lunch, you will be able to download and access that training at no cost to you. And it's just full of all sorts of different strategies and techniques that you can start implementing in your day-to-day life that will allow you to really take back control of your life.
I love it. Lucie, thank you, first of all, for the promo code for the listeners, and thank you so much for being here. This was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
For those of you watching, listening, all of those details, the links, everything, and the promo code lunch, remember, Harmonious at Lunch, is down there in the description. Make sure you subscribe too. We want to keep putting these episodes out 5 days a week so you can build a more harmonious business and life. And the only way to do that is if you're subscribed, so you get them and that little red notification every single day. Maybe that's a subconscious pattern that we should have more of. Yes, Lucie? I think so. I love it. All right. Well, we'll see you on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Thanks for listening.